at a 23 Eye of Azshara with Sanguine, Necrotic, and Fortified. And I'll just be walking you through the entire dungeon with a little bit of commentary and kind of show you our pathing, our pull patterns, and kind of our overall strategy. I had a really good Mythic Plus session with my team, and this was one of the keys we did, which actually was pretty nice. And Eye of Azshara is one of those dungeons that I wasn't super familiar with, so there will be some parts of this which I will kind of commentate and show you how not to do those mistakes that we did. And this is also kind of a trial for future videos once I start pushing some hierarchies, some 25s and maybe above, and just looking for some feedback on how I can change these up and if you guys like this type of format. And also in the future, I already tweeted about this, I will probably do individual dungeon guides once BFA launches. So as you saw there, we all invis down towards the first boss, and here I just equip my cloak along with the bracers and I go full defensive build. This is a level 23, so we pull everything here with the boss. And then once the 2 ads spawn, I just mass grip and call for treants to be dropped by the boomkin. That way I don't have to tank extra necrotic stacks. Looking back at this dungeon, I would run probably more offensive trinkets if I had the chance to redo this, and also would do pathing just a little different. We could have probably 2-chested this. We ended up 1-chesting with quite a bit of time left. But yeah, if you don't have a strong AoE group like we do here, you might not want to pull these because your tank maybe won't be able to survive if those ads stay up for too long. Because the tank needs to be able to drop necrotic stacks. There I should have tagged that Spellbreaker first just to avoid our range getting hit by him, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And then from here I pretty much just rotate like AMS and other externals and Kite to drop my necrotic stacks. I got a really lucky parry there, and then I just stunned it so it doesn't hit me again to drop my necrotic stacks. And I also used AMS. I didn't need it there. I should have held it until I had both of these mobs on me, let them hit me like once and then AMS, and that would have prevented a lot of these stacks from going up. But I am also using the Apocalypse Drive trinket, so in case I get to high stacks, which you saw me get to like 17 I believe, I can just pop that trinket and it's going to greatly reduce the damage I take even if I'm not able to heal it back. It's kind of like a nice mitigation. And then here we're just pretty much nuking the boss. Unfortified, obviously, bosses are not all that difficult, especially this first one. It's all about just necrotic management for your tank and making sure you keep on top of interrupts for these ads. Also, one thing I could have done slightly different is like do more damage on the boss instead of kiting out, but that risks me moving the ads if they get interrupted, and they might miss the spear on them, so I just didn't want to risk it. So after this, this is the second skip we're going to do. So you saw us invis, potion, Seagull, drink down the straight down the path and skip all those mobs. On Fortified, it's definitely worth it. Then this is the second skip we do, which you can do with a mage. Your mage slow falls everyone, you jump up on this rock and you all just jump across. And that just makes it so you don't have to pull some of those ads on the left and right hand side. Because especially if you have a super AoE heavy comp, you don't want to be pulling like 2 or 3 mobs at a time. You want to be pulling as many as possible. So you'll see us do multiple just mass pulls in this dungeon, because that's just the more efficient way of doing the dungeon for us, since most of our damage is just strong AoE. Now, as soon as I grab aggro on these, I kite back a little bit, I group them up, and then I call for treants here, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Our druid drops treants on them, and I don't have to take any more necrotic stacks. And you will see me do this kind of throughout the dungeon, where I dance in and out of melee range, and that's just so I don't get hit by necrotics. Now here I did go up to 21 stacks, 22, but I know that this isn't going to hit hard and I'm going to be able to heal through it. It's just one ad, and he doesn't melee, or she doesn't melee too much, so I'm not in danger of dying even at high stacks. Once we kill this, we are going to be doing the second boss, so cleaning up that area and doing the Serpent boss instead of this Naga. So you just see me give Path of Frost to everyone, and our Warlock was actually lagging really bad up to this point. You will actually see him restart his game, go offline for like a minute while we're cleaning up this next area. So yeah, we skip all of these. We'll come back to these later. We were a little bit slow, so our lust timing didn't work out exactly the way we wanted to, but we just pulled these two. So because you'll see us do a really big pull later on, and we just need the room to kite. We don't want our mage to accidentally pull something that he didn't mean to. And this is also just like a really efficient pack to pull if you have strong AoE DPS, because it's a lot of targets, so your mage and your warlock will be pumping damage pretty hard. And you see me do this over and over, where I'm just not even in melee range of the ads at all. Even if I don't have bone shield stacks, I just never get in melee range. It's just not worth it. Here I made a silly mistake of equipping my Archimon set instead of my cloak set, and then equip trinkets. And obviously switching out trinkets dropped my Archimon, so I'm actually only running one legendary here. And then proc my Perg also on pull. So these two mobs will do 2 of these pulls, hit really hard. So ideally, I would have wanted to go into it with Bone Shield, but I knew I had Perg, so even if I Perged, I had time to recover from it. So, initially I thought that I was going to run Cloak and wrists or bracers on these, but it turned out that Treants can actually taunt one of them. They won't taunt the Hydra, but they will taunt the other ad. So it's not exactly necessary to run Cloak, since the Treants can just taunt one of them while the other one is doing a cast, and you just drop your stacks by running out of melee range. So again, for this pack, I forgot to equip my actual AoE set because I thought we were just doing one set of crabs. But then the mage called to pull the other set too, which obviously it's a lot more efficient and makes the one pack die faster if there's 2 of them, just because of the exponential damage they get from multiple targets. So yeah, for this one you'll see me go just shoulder and bracer, and we'll do this Siltwalker with the Hydra. So again, we're just clearing up this area to be able to do this boss. And again, I don't have Bone Shield and I don't have Perg. So I grip in the Siltwalker and instantly Marrow Rend while staying out of melee range of the Hydra, because I knew if I get hit by both of them at the same time, I will just instantly die since I didn't have anything on me. And after this race end, again, I just call for Treants. You'll see me make use of Treants quite a bit throughout the dungeon. And with Necrotic, it's a really, really nice ability to have, just because it taunts pretty much everything. Obviously, there's some mobs that it won't, like this Hydra, but in general, it will taunt everything. So there, our Warlock died because he was just lagging so bad he couldn't dodge. And this is where he restarts his game, so you'll see us kind of linger a little bit, wait for him to restart his game and log back in. So the Hydra, I just rate walked a little bit out of range to drop my necrotic stacks, and then we just finish it off, no problem. So if you're running a fire mage for this dungeon, then you might want to pull Seagulls. There's 2 of them, and potentially 3 that can be aggroed by mistake if your fire mage's ignite spreads. But the last one we don't, because especially if your fire mage is running Cephus, he can proc it off of the Seagull. So while our Warlock is logging back in, I'm just looking around of what we could pull, and we just call out the Seagulls, mark them. And our mage was calling out the Seagull that I couldn't find. He said he marked 1X, but I couldn't see it. Now looking back at this video, I see where it is. It's like all the way in the back by the cave. But we're just going to be pulling down these 2 and mostly sticking to this side of the map, unless the boss obviously jumps to the far side. But even then, if we pull 1 Seagull, it's not the end of the world, because obviously it can just be CC'd. And then his ignite spreads here to the other Seagull, and I just grip it down. So this is not exactly the most efficient thing to do, but we did it because we might as well, since our Warlock was relogging and we had to wait for him to get back in game. So then we just kill the Seagull. Our mage actually gets melee there. And then we just go in and pull the boss. So for this boss, the reason why we do this second is because if you do the Hydra boss second, the lady, then you will have lust up for this boss. And it's very difficult to make very good use of lust on this boss since he transitions. So if you lust, like he's going to go down really quick and disappear, and then you're just kind of lingering until the ads come up and then you kill them. And it's just more efficient to pop lust in different places. Since we had kind of like a slow pathing, our lust debuff didn't work out exactly the way we wanted it to. Ideally, we wanted to have lust debuff up for this next pull that we're going to be doing next. That way our mage can just lust for himself and no one else gets the debuff. But he actually won't notice that our debuff falls down and he's going to lust for the entire group, which is a little bit suboptimal, but it still worked out okay. So yeah, for these hydras, I just hodge, or I asphyxiate this purple one, and then our paladin hodges the orange one. And we just have all of our DPS go on purple while keeping interrupts. Actually, no, they split up here, and one of them solos the purple while the other two do the orange. And you just need to keep interrupts up, and this is also a great time to give leech to your group if you're a blood DK tank. So here we will actually have Ignite spread to these ads whenever the next ad spawns. The boss is about to transition pretty soon here. And usually I just Sky Step Potion out of reflex. As soon as he submerges, Sky Step Potion just to look around where he's going. And actually the purple spawn next to me, I asphyxiate and get back to Serpent. If on that one, I probably didn't need to Sky Step because it spawned on the close ad, but I just popped it kind of out of reflex because obviously if you get a far spawn as a DK, it's going to take you ages, especially if you have the wind pushing you in the wrong direction. Sky Step just makes that a lot easier. So yeah, we aggro some crabs there by mistake. And at this point, I just never want to get hit by them. So I'm going to be running, obviously I'm running Dimas. And I will just rotate that in with DNDs to slow them constantly and kite them around the boss. One thing I don't want to do is kite too far to the point where they run through the boss, because obviously if they were to drop Sanguine on the boss, there would be a huge problem, and we might actually need to reset the boss since Sanguine heals 4%. And here you just see me like kite them in the circle around the boss, never actually get meleeed by them because I don't want those extra necrotic stacks. So here you will see me and the mage split up, and we're going to be doing a massive pull. I will show you the pathing obviously, and I will also point out one extra pack that I would pull the next time I do this. So our mage is going down all the way to the cave end, and I run around all the way to this end of the dungeon where the ships are, and start with this very far pack. Once the mage gets to the other side, we call out. The mage will be slowing, so I will be pulling while mounted, and the mage will be pulling just with like scorches and flame strikes and so on. Once we're both ready, we go. And since I'm doing like the longer path, I don't want my ads to be slowed, which is the reason why I'm pulling them on a mount. So I just run past everything here, aggro the ship. And then instead of going right here, next time I would go around left and go all the way to the far side, and there's one more pack there that I could aggro, which you might get a peek of here. Actually we don't, but there's one more pack down at the end of the dungeon that I would aggro, because you'll actually see us go back and kill it. And then I just kite them in like a half circle, pull them through the crabs and mass. My mass actually misses one group of crabs, which is a little unlucky. And then you see us lust. So this is ideally where you want to get past that second boss fast enough to where you still have lust debuff. That way your mage can just lust for himself and no one else gets the debuff, and you can just pop it on this next boss. Since we still have lust rolling, I actually make the decision here to just pull this one hard shell just to make use of lust. Otherwise we would get to the other ads and half our lust would just be wasted. So overall it wasn't like that big of a problem, since as a DK I'm able to deal with this next boss pretty well if I run the cloak legendary. So here, yeah, you just see us kill the hard shell, and now we're going to be going back and doing the Arcanist pull with the 2 packs of blobs. This is probably where I make the most mistakes in a single pull in the entire dungeon. So I will be running chest and Sephuz just for the extra damage on these blobs. Obviously I want as much AoE as possible. I grip that in. I aggro this first pack of blobs. It's enough if you just tag one of them. I aggro the second pack. I gather them up. And as soon as I have them gathered up, I should have called for treants right here. Like at this moment, I should have called for treants, just so everything can be AoE'd and DPS don't have to worry about kiting them around. And instead of calling for treants, I keep kiting around, and I call for treants at a really bad time. You'll see me call for it here. There we go, they get dropped. And I called for those treants when half of the blobs were about to die. So now they're in Sanguine. I asked for a knock. They get knocked out, but all of them healed back like 20 or 30%. And then I make a really bad pathing mistake again here with the Arcanist. You'll see me just drag her. I'm not in grip range. And she's just healing back. She healed back 20% there. And then there's one droplet which died right there, and I kind of move her back just a little bit, and she clips that Sanguine, and she heals back another 20%. So that was just really bad, silly mistakes on my part, which I should never do. And it just comes down to me paying attention to where Sanguine's about to drop. Now I know I have grip up here, so as soon as the Sanguine drops, I just grip it out of it. And we just kill this ad. So this pull should have taken us a lot shorter amount of time if I played it correctly. Obviously the DPS did everything normally because there's not much they can do. So I just needed to call for treants at a right time, and not kite the Arcanist through Sanguine. Maybe take like an alternate pathing around the side, or just run through the Sanguine myself and pull the Arcanist to the opposite side. Once it dies here, I'm going to be equipping Cloak and Bracers, because on this boss, obviously the little ads apply Necrotic, and with the Cloak debuff, I'm able to drop my Necrotic stacks whenever I have Cloak up. I just drop Feast real quick while everyone's switching gears. And I'm also running Demas. You'll see me run Demas for pretty much everything that's kiteable, just because it's an extra slow, and our group, we don't really have that many slows if our Warlock is not running Slow Ring. And I don't want him to run Slow Ring if I'm able to take care of all the slows myself, because that's kind of a DPS loss for him. So yeah, this boss is probably the most difficult. Maybe the last boss is a little more difficult, but if you have Lust for this boss, it makes it a lot easier. Now what you will see me do, they actually missed one glob there, and we destroyed 3 islands. Our druid forgot to bear form, because he thought bark would be enough. But we have this one globule. I'm just face tanking it because I know I'll be able to drop my stacks on this Static Nova. So I asphyxiate it and just run out. And then I end up just AMSing because I know that for the next pack I can just kite them around in a circle and not take any stacks if I choose to do that. So here my second pot is up. Yeah, there we go, I pop it. We get a Focus Lightning. I think for this one, our healer AM'd. I don't actually remember. So yeah, I just gather these up and I try to limit the amount of stacks I take. And I call for treants. There we go, yeah. So for the next set, I knew we had treants up, and I just asked for an external here since I got hit by a tornado. And those treants just tanked everything, and you see me drop my stacks. And from here, I would just be running and just barely like slow kiting the boss. Not like full kiting where I just strafe run, but I'm just slowly stutter stepping, staying out of melee range of those little blobs because I don't want necrotic stacks to be applied to me. Then next we have a Static Nova coming in, and everyone pretty much has a debuff, so you want to make sure you don't face anyone and knock them off a platform and kill them. And then from here the boss is pretty much like execute, nuke the boss. There's going to be, I don't even think we get one more set of ads. Oh, we do right here. But again, I just do the same thing where I kite, and this time I actually have AMS back up too, and the debuff timings line up exactly where the DPS are able to just take care of them with the Curse of the Witch debuff. So I just pop AMS to prevent some of those necrotic stacks from applying. And here I could have probably just nuked the boss, but she still gets the cast off. Maybe if I stayed in melee range and hit her 2 more times, she wouldn't have gotten the cast off, but oh well, it happens. So now we see that our enemy forces is at 164 out of 206. I know that we'll be getting 16 from the 4 ads we have to do before the last boss. So that means we have to get to 190 count before we actually get to the last boss. So we see that we still have a Hydra up. This gives us probably the best count along with 1 pack of crabs back here. And even whenever you do that big pull, you'll always miss 1 pack of crabs unless you get perfect Hydra kiting or perfect Hydra pathing, which is not a big deal. Usually you can get away with it. But here I just stand out of melee range. One thing I could have done better here is just kite the Hydra away from the ads before he starts casting this Chaotic Tempest. I knew that was coming in, so he heals back about 20% actually here, which is not ideal. Just a little bit of wasted time. And we just kill this Hydra, and we still need to do 1 more pack of mobs. So at this point, we have the option of going back and doing the 2 big crabs. I actually mismanaged a little my bone shield stacks a little bit there, so I just popped DRW and just get instant 10 stacks. So yeah, as I was saying, at this point, we have the choice of doing the 2 Silt Walkers, or we have 1 more pack of pirates that we can do here. So this is the pack that I mentioned earlier on. That's at the very end of the boat here. Is just these scavengers. And if I was to run this dungeon again, I will definitely pull these as well whenever we're doing the massive pull. So these put us up to almost perfect percent. Because we'll be pulling 1 snail with the second to last boss, which gives us 4 count. And we'll also have to clear 1 Seagull, which will give us, I believe, another 4 count. Actually, never mind, Seagulls give 1 count. So that's exactly perfect. So we're missing at this point 5 count, right? We're 185, we want to be at 190. Seagulls give 1, snails give 4. At this boss, you'll see us kill the Seagull and then pull the snail with the boss. And then once we end up doing the 4 casters before the last boss, they will put us at exactly perfect percent. So this is the second skip we're doing that you might be familiar with. You need your druid to be running, I think, Wild Charge it's called. I know it's a talent where they can just leap forward. And then they just mount up and you just mount and jump into their like 3% mount. Our Warlock misses there, I think, yeah. So we're just waiting for him to do this jump real quick, and then we'll be going and doing this boss. There we go, he makes the jump. So again, you'll see me here go like a defensive build, which in retrospect, I could have easily went an offensive build and gotten away with it. I just wasn't sure how hard these bosses would be hitting and how I would be able to deal with Necrotic. So I just cautioned on the side of error and, you know, went like a complete defensive build on most of these bosses, even though I could have gone away with a more offensive build and just pump a little bit more damage. So here I thought the snail was pulled because it's at 87%, but that was actually just from the lightning. And as soon as the Seagull drops, I will be swapping into my cloak, I believe. Actually, never mind. On this boss, I go kind of a more offensive build, or it's like a balanced build. It's neither defensive nor super offensive. And our Warlock actually aggroes that snail just so he can proc Cephus off of it. And I will be stacking my Quakes into one corner here. You'll see this Quake come in. I drop it, then I just sidestep, and I will be dropping almost every single Quake on that spot. As long as you don't get hit by your own Quake, because it will one-shot you once you have enough of them stacked, this is kind of a good strategy to do, even if you're like a ranged DPS. Because it just like makes it so you just save room and you have more room to work with if something was to happen. So you see us stacking the Quakes here. After the Quake hits, I give everyone Leech. And this boss is pretty straightforward as long as people aren't getting hit by mechanics that they could be dodging. You won't be taking too much damage, and just time your Leech to when your group takes a big hit, and it'll just help out with the healing a little bit. So this boss enrages at kind of low HP. I think it's 30% or 20%, I don't remember exactly. But that's pretty much where you want to make use of external cooldowns, and maybe if you have your own cooldowns still up, you can also pop those. The boss will also be attacking faster, so you have the potential of getting more necrotic stacks here. But I actually just end up parrying quite a bit. And our paladin, I believe, dies right about now on this next quake. So the boss is enraged. I asked for a sack there, and then I have DRW back up. Yes, I get sacked right there. I DRW, and I know I'm going to be parrying a lot. So our paladin dies. I B-res him, but he calls out that we don't need the B-res, and he's just going to sit on it in case we need it. But I have cooldowns rolling. Obviously, I have DRW up, and I don't have any necrotic stacks. And we just finish up the boss. He cancels that B-res, because obviously for the last boss we want to have as many of them up as possible. This last slime, we just kill it, and this gives us exact percent, so it will give us 4 count. You'll see that that puts us at 190 out of 206. And like I said before, those last 4 adds give us 16 count, so that works out exactly perfect. Yeah, our paladin just gets res there, and then we go on and do these bosses, or these mini like adds. And I am running shoulders and Sephuz because that's kind of my highest output single target if I'm able to proc my Sephuz. And I'm also running Horn of Valor here, which I actually haven't ran too much. I don't think I have actually ran it at all this dungeon so far. It's just a nice little cooldown that you can pop, and it's pretty much up for the duration of one of these adds. And then you can either switch out of it or save it in case you have it back up for the last ad. But I don't think I will have it back up, and I forget to switch out of it. Here you just want to make sure you call out for interrupts and you rotate Sephuz. Obviously, most of your DPS will be running Sephuz, so just make sure that you have some sort of tracker. You can see all 3 of us have Sephuz on cooldown right now. And we just call out whoever has Sephuz and an interrupt up. They're the one that get the next interrupt. This second ad is still pretty easy to deal with. This third ad is probably the most difficult on Fortified. And if you're running with a priest, you can mass dispel the root, but with a paladin, you can only dispel 1 person. So on this first one, we'll just kind of stack up for the AoE healing, and I will give them leech, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I gave leech a little bit late, but it still helped out a little bit. And then for this next one, I call out that I won't need a dispel, and he should dispel someone else, because I'm just going to pre-AMS this, so the root doesn't get applied to me. Our druid just shapeshifts it, and I think he dispels our fire mage, yeah. And then for the next one, obviously we just have 1 ad left. This one doesn't do much, you just need to keep interrupts, and then we're going to be heading into the boss. As far as running gear sets for this boss, you want to go a more damage-oriented build, because there's one spot where you will guarantee drop your stacks, which is when he does the transition at 10%. It's a long cast, and it will drop your necrotic stacks guaranteed. I still ran the cloak because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to drop stacks between that, which, looking back at it, was a decent idea, but I could have probably gotten away with not running the cloak on this boss. So we kill this ad, and then everyone just swaps into single target gear. I swap into defensive trinkets here. And like I said, looking back at it, I could have ran a more offensive build. Now our paladin needs to eat up, and I think our mage was swapping gear around or waiting on some cooldown. Drop a fish, he sits down to eat, and we go. Pre-pot lust and just go ham on this boss. Initially, I called that we're going to rotate clockwise here, but then we get the first tornado to our left here, and I just call out that we should just rotate the other direction since we got the tornado there. If you're running a Holy Paladin for this boss, it's really nice. You'll see our Warlock run out here and just get bopped. And the Crushing Depths debuff, it just won't do any damage to him, because on high keys, you never want to split the damage from them. So we have 3 battle reses up, or we'll get our 3rd one shortly. And that means we can sacrifice every single one that people can't immune. Unluckily, none of them went on our paladin or our mage, from what I remember. I think they all go on classes that we had to res or soulstone. So this is the point where you can drop your stacks. Now, even if you're running short AMS, you can just AMS at the end of that cast and drop your stacks. I could have probably gotten away without AMSing and just look for a parry and then drop my stacks on this. But looking back at it, it ended up not really mattering because this boss wasn't applying the debuffs fast enough. So for the second one, he gets a soulstone and he just stands up where he is. Rezzing people in melee range is always kind of iffy because that's usually where you get the majority of like waves and little tornadoes spawning. There's always something going on. And then we're just rotating around the boss, nuking him. We second potted, I believe, at the transition. That's about where the 1 minute mark is, depending on your DPS. And the next Crushing Depths is coming in 3 seconds, and it goes on our Warlock. So again, we can't use anything on him, so I just hover, B-res. And as soon as I B-res, a tornado spawns and a wave comes in, so I tell him to take it quick and move out. I actually get hit by that one wave there, but the boss is almost over. And then we're getting a deluge on me. I wasn't sure if we're going to actually get this or not, so I just kind of stayed in melee range and then ran around back out. I go around this tornado and the boss dies. So we finished the dungeon with 3 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. We could have two-chested if we had kind of a little bit of different pathing. Maybe our Warlock didn't have to relog. And there were a few mistakes, especially around the second Arcanist we did, that could have saved us quite a bit of time to actually two-chest this instead of one chest. But yeah, that was the whole 23 Eye of Azshara with commentary. If you have any questions about this dungeon, or if you want me to change the format of maybe how I commentate this, maybe I can speed up or slow down some parts and explain them a little bit better if you might be confused. But yeah, I'm just looking for general feedback on this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And once I run maybe some higher keys, some 25s, 26s, I will definitely do some more commentary videos similar to this on those dungeons. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.